Okay, so where do we go with Richard Dawkins? By the way, please do pray for him. He insists he doesn't want people to pray for him, but I don't think you need to take his notification of no prayer seriously. I'm going to actually take you through some of the arguments that he's made that deal particularly with Australia. You'll see our Sam design, John Mackay's artist encouraged, and all of these sort of things put together, because the key issue with people like Dawkins is the refusal to recognize design and substitute a line, the design is only apparent. And you and I, it's an intellectual challenge, it's a significant one. How would you tell the difference between something which appears to be designed because all the other things that naturally were selected against haven't made it, and only the things that look designed have got it through to the present? How would you recognize those things which are designed? Well, Sam and I can tell you we designed that. We were the creators. We were there when it happened. Sam did the original nice blue creation research in the tree. Fantastic, Sam. Great artwork. Well, maybe not great artwork, but significant symbology there. And the artist and I chose the background. And, well, I'll tell you what, we testify that we created that, and it didn't happen by itself. Now, in Australia here, Diane and I and Dr. John Osgood will be putting on a seminar for those of you who are listening locally on April the 20th and 21st at Camira Christian Assembly, which deals with one other aspect. You see, creation is one man, Adam. How do we get to Australian Aborigines? And have they been here for 65,000 years? Where do they come from? All these sort of things. We'll mention more about this in the next couple of weeks. Aboriginals and Australia. And I make no apologies. We've said this since I gave this lecture at Oxford to the Geological Association. This is the verse I started with to them. My aim was that these listeners would see. My aim was with Richard Dawkins, when he turned up almost unexpectedly, that he would know. Well, he does now. He heard what we said. He hasn't yet considered and understood it, but we want you to know that the hand of the Lord has done this, and it wasn't Muhammad. It wasn't Allah. It wasn't the gods of India. It was the Holy One of Israel who did the creating. See how specific the Bible is? And that is our aim. We make no apologies. Richard Dawkins, his reaction, the central belief of Christianity is that the creator of the universe, the inventor of galaxies, couldn't think of a better way of ridding the world of sin than to get himself tortured on a cross. How pathetic. Now, you can see those are two mutually different parts, perspectives, statements. Dawkins understands Christianity, but he dismisses it with two words: how pathetic. That is true what he said, by the way. Jesus Christ willingly died on a cross to get rid of sin, to get rid of your sin and my sin. But do you say how pathetic? Or are you like John Mackay, who got to the point of saying how wonderful? Okay, Dawkins denies a designer. You are entitled to say, how would you recognize a designer? Okay, we can actually justify this because not only do we have a video from the BBC in which you can see us interacting with him, he even writes about us in print, which he doesn't like admitting he created the text for. Okay, there's the book. Diane will bring this up a little later. Now, Richard Dawkins, The Greatest Show on Earth. Fantastic artwork that didn't happen by itself. You can even see it on our YouTube now. You can go and have a look at the whole lot. And Sam, don't forget to give a couple of plugs to our new websites, etc. But here's what we want to start with first. How do you deal with these atheists? How do you deal with those who say, yes, design is real, but it's only apparent? It really didn't happen. Well, if what they're saying is true, it should be consistent. But if what they're saying is not true, then sooner or later it will have fallacies that should show up. Now, you've heard me and many of the team say, God has commanded us to love him with our mind. We make no apologies. Christianity is a religion where you use your mind. You can't sit there, shut your eyes and go, All right, there's Dawkins. It's absolutely safe to say if you meet someone who claims not to believe in evolution, that person is ignorant, stupid, or insane. Well, I'm sorry, Joe, that's it. You may be doing your PhD on dinosaur blood molecules and all of that, but according to Dawkins, you're ignorant, stupid, or insane. Now, I have to be honest, in my interaction with Dr. Glenn, I haven't quite found him ignorant. I certainly don't think he's stupid. And, well, Sam, not even you qualify as insane. Neither does Professor James Tour, Rise University. You see, one of my colleagues is a real supporter of this guy because everything he does turns out to support creation. And yet, look at his background. 489 rather, scientific publications, 36 patents, nanomachine research in medicine. He's in the 10 most cited chemists in the world. Now, this guy is not ignorant or insane. In fact, this guy is not suffering from a lack of knowledge. But look what he says. I will tell you, as a scientist and a synthetic chemist, if anybody should be able to understand evolution, it's me, because I make molecules. In other words, he takes little atoms, carbon, hydrogen, etc., and he's learned how to put them together. I understand how hard it is to make molecules. I say to my opponents, really, do you understand all of this? Where all of this came from and how it happens? Every time I've sat with people who insist, etc., they go, nope. Do you realize most of us who are watching have no idea how to put molecules together? Or you and I, we can blow them apart. That's easy. Set the house on fire, get some gelignite, all sorts of interest. We can blow things apart. There's one of our colleagues on quite a bit of our work with Ed in British Columbia. He's a synthetic chemist. What's interesting is, here's what he said. I make medicines at the molecular level, yet we are told complex cell molecules, e.g. ATP, evolve spontaneously without planning, controlled conditions, or purpose. The evidence is far more consistent with the intelligent creator of the Bible than with an imagined process where complex information is generated from nothing, which is an impossibility. Now, you too can now get our videos online. You can stream them. Sam will tell you more about that as soon as I'm done. But there's an interview we did with him in Canada, a fascinating interview with a molecule man. Now, his conclusions about Dawkins stuff is really the same as mine. It's really the same as Professor Tour's. Dawkins is the one who doesn't know what he's talking about. You see, there's what Dawkins said. It's absolutely safe to say that if you meet someone who claims not to believe in evolution, that person is ignorant, like Dr. Diane Eager, stupid, like John Mackay, or insane, like Sam or Joe or Dr. Glenn, or even Craig, who's away this week in the town of Darwin, named after Charles Darwin because of his visit there. Actually, what Dawkins said is actually provably incorrect. The majority of people who believe in evolution are the ones who perhaps should be thinking of wearing ignorant, stupid, or insane. Why? Well, listen carefully and you'll find out. You see, the Bible is actually very dogmatic. The Apostle Paul, you might remember him. He was wandering along the road on the way to kill Christians. Yes, a murderer. And yet he's the one who God deliberately reached down, didn't arrange an appointment with Paul. He just turned up and shocked the living daylights out of him. And Paul becomes a Christian after meeting basically face to face with the living God, who is Christ. The invisible things of God, writes Paul, from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that men are without excuse. No, this is not a revelation that struck him straight on the day he was walking along the road to Damascus. This is what he brings back after 3 years in the Jesus Christ Bible College. Yes, if you don't remember, Paul basically disappeared off the itinerary for 3 years, where he was taught face-to-face, one-on-one by Jesus Christ, the risen Savior. Simple point. There are many authorities that disagree with the Bible. Richard Dawkins, the guy who used to be Richard Dawkins' colleague in atheism, doesn't accept that the Bible's got problems now. In fact, he shares that he gets great joy from reading it and learning about Jesus Christ. No, he doesn't know everything about the 6 days, so don't ask him yet. He will, if he studies what God says. Just as he's received Christ the Savior into his life, Christ's Spirit will teach him in all things. All right. Yes, I'm entitled to actually comment like this because not only have we written and corresponded with Attenborough, another atheist, we've also been face to face several times with Richard Dawkins, page 154 of The Greatest Show on Earth. And he says this, that iconic Australian animal, the koala. Greatest Show, page 369, their pouch opens downwards instead of upwards, as in a kangaroo. Now, I live where koalas are. I know where kangaroos are down in my backyard. He said the koala with its pouch facing down is not a good idea in an animal that spends its time clinging to tree trunks. Provably, he said that. Grab a book, check yourself. But the funny thing is, I interact with koalas. Now, here's a koala doing something unusual over on one of our sandy islands off the coast. It went for a swim. Hey, look at that. It was enjoying the edge of the surf. In fact, if you're wondering what it was doing, it was having its annual delicing. Yes, many of the bugs that inhabit the wild animals don't do too well on koalas because their blood is so full of eucalyptus oil, but there's some wildies that actually make it even on the koala's fur, and it has to get rid of them. Yep, the tourists thought this was wonderful. By the way, I wouldn't recommend you try to pat them because if they're in a bad mood, they can certainly let you know with scratches and with nips and things like that. You see, I've got them in my backyard. Can you spot the koala? There he is up in the tree branch. Yep, I'll tell you what, when you get closer, these koalas are fascinating. They live up in the trees. How could you survive up in the trees if your pouch faced the wrong way? Dawkins raises a good issue. The question is it really the description of what's real? What's Dawkins worried about? They seem to be doing well in Australia. You can go to our theme parks, you can go to koala parks, you can go and actually get your photograph taken with them. Well, they seem to be pretty sleepy because they eat gum leaves all the time. Gum leaves are full of, well, you and I would call them toxins. The koalas do very well with them, but one result is they do sleep a lot, but their babies seem to live. They don't seem to, I mean, Australia's not full of koala bears falling out of the sky. You know, their standard name, drop bears. A downward pouch means they could not have been created. Now, if Dawkins ever becomes a Christian, he'll probably be a preacher in a fundamentalist Baptist church, I suspect, because he's so used to being dogmatic. Downward pouch means they could not have been created. I wonder if he's got his facts wrong. Let's just check here. You see, it really would be a problem if you were mama koala bear. No, they're not actually bears, are they? They're koalas. It's an Aboriginal word, koala. We say koala. And they don't seem to be falling out of the air at all. Koala fact, they do have short legs. They do climb gum trees. That was a big gum tree in my backyard that you saw one up. They do have a fully upward face. Oh, hang on. Do they or don't they? You see, when you look up the websites on koalas, you find that they have a fully upward facing pouch. But if they did, that would only collect bark and debris. Your mama bear, you're climbing up the tree, then your pouch would act like it would act like a lawnmower catcher. All the bark and all the leaves and the debris would fill it up, but it doesn't. So how does Bubby stay in if the pouch doesn't face 100% up? They do, by the way. Aren't they cute? I guess many of you ladies are glad you don't have babies that way, where it can hop back in for months and months. Koala fact. The baby doesn't fall out. Reason number one, their pouch has a strong muscle to keep it closed. Now, you see, living in Australia, having koalas in my backyard, having to walk and wonder at night. I mean, at night they are unbelievably noisy, particularly during the mating season. It frightens the daylights out of new visitors to the area when you're sort of out there at midnight and all of a sudden you hear, ah! He's annoyed. She's annoyed. The fight is on. 2 he's and 1 she, and you're in serious trouble. But their pouch has a strong muscle to keep it closed, so the resulting babies, there's one reason they won't fall out. Koala fact, while baby is feeding on milk, the mother's nipple swells in its mouth, keep the bub firmly attached. Now, some of you don't know that one of the most significant miracles of Australian koalas is they're born blind and they're born hairless and they're born out of mum's womb at about 39 or 40 days. And they will instantly, being blind, crawl to where mum's womb is, and then they will grab a hold of the nipple and put it in their mouth, and the nipple swells, baby can't let go. So it wouldn't matter which way the pouch is facing from them on for the next few months, the baby is stuck. So don't worry, you English tourists. Don't worry, you tourists from the USA. You do not have to worry about drop bears. Makes a good song, makes a good kid story, but it's not a fact, Richard Dawkins, at all. What goes on after that? During the weaning, the koala mother feeds the baby pre-digested leaf mix called pap. For those of you who don't know the history of that, read your King James Bible. It's description of mum's paps too, right? Which passes from her cecum through her anus. Yep, that's what it says. This baby food passes from mum's stomach down through anus after 22 weeks of baby's lifespan. And you know what mum does then next? Well, it's very interesting because baby pokes its head out and mum's flexible pouch means that she can bend down. He, the baby, can bend down. She, the baby, can bend down, leans out of the pouch, and they start to lick mum's anus. Aren't you glad, mums, that this isn't something you humans have to do? You only do it when you have probiotics. Yep, you heard me right. That's where we get them from. We get them from the good, successful bacteria that goes through, and there's a clue here. What the baby is doing is getting the needed probiotics. You see from SaveTheKoala.com, koala life cycle, the koala Joey leans out of the pouch opening on the center of its mother's abdomen to feed on the pap, stretching it open towards the source of the pap and therefore downwards or backwards. So a not so skilled, a very dogmatic evolutionist, anti-creationist reads this as the pouch opening downwards. No, the baby faces downwards. The baby can actually press the pouch out and face downwards and lick, 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 and it's got all the probiotics that it needs. This is why koalas are sometimes said to have a backwards opening pouch, though this is not strictly true. You got it? That's the official life cycle, the official website. Now, in case you're wondering why the baby needs this special probiotics, there's a good reason. You see, gum leaves are really hard to digest. Humans out here, we don't go around eating gum leaves. Not at all. We might rip them open and get a very thin fibrous band that shows up underneath the hard exterior, and we'll use it to whistle with. Gum leaves make great whistles. Koalas don't use them to whistle. Koalas need to eat them, and they don't have much nutrition in. So of all the animals in Australia, the koalas have a marvellous set of probiotics that can digest the really tough gum leaves. There's our conclusion. Koalas should be grateful Dawkins didn't design them. Did you catch on to that? Yeah, that's so important. You notice that Dawkins has messed up. Yes, very popular with the bishops at Westminster, very popular with the professors, very popular with the TV channels, not so popular with the guys he's worked with at the moment, but he's messed up. Koalas should be grateful Dawkins didn't design them because he didn't have the whole big picture. Can I suggest, for more information, you go to our website and you will notice our maincreationresearch.net website has been upgraded. Go to search, insert Darwin, insert Dawkins, koala, or go to Q&A or fact file, and Diane can talk a bit more about that in a moment. But here's been our aim again, to show there are plenty of opinions and theories that disagree with the Bible, because the Bible is emphatic that God took all things into consideration when he got round to creating the one animal that would need an interesting pap version of how to get its probiotics into its baby. You see, that's what Dawkins believes, nature to nurture, and it doesn't fit reality at all. The real reality is, yes, if we're not careful, we're running out of koalas. Yes, if we're not careful, we're running out of kangaroos. Yes, if we're not careful, we're running out of all sorts of interesting animals. If we don't care for the creation which God put into our care. The history of the world is that one. God made the world very good. That's what shows up in a koala's digestive system. God made separate kinds. That's why when you find a koala jaw in the middle of Australia, which has been done, they only live down the east coast. But if you find them in the middle of Australia, you know that there used to be great forests right across Australia. Now there isn't. No, koalas don't live in the deep forest. They don't live in the jungles. They live in the open grasslands with gum trees. But there used to be an awful lot more of that across Australia. But the world has gone from good to bad to worse. Yep, climate change is real, but it didn't come about because of our gasoline or anything like that. It's happened from the beginning when Adam sinned, even worse after Noah's flood, even more after the ice mentioned in the book of Genesis. And you'll find from then till now, things have not evolved upwards. They've gone the other way.